So our family has a special connection with Rabbi Yisrael Meir Lau, who's the former chief rabbi of Israel, now the chief rabbi of Tel Aviv. And my father, who was an American Army chaplain, liberated him and his brother from the Buchenwald concentration camp. So our family has a connection, and I have a lot of respect for him. He always used to mention my father and the impact that my father had on him when he was a very little boy. In his book, he tells the story of having met my father. It's a very moving and very special and very meaningful. So in his book, he has a story about two kids, and I was reminded of that story in the context of this keynote, and I want to take a break from the keynotes and continue in the theme of the keynotes. I want to share this story with you. It's a very moving story, and he's a very special man. You should have Arichas Yamim. He's quite old now. So he writes as follows. It was February 1996. There was a suicide bomber who blew up bus number 18 in Yerushalayim, killing 26 passengers. February 1996. My office manager knew that as soon as she heard about a terrorist attack, she knew already in advance she had to get as much information as possible so that I should be able to go to the Levayas, or at least I should go to pay Shiva. So that was part of his derech, was that on horrific occasions like this, he would want to be menachem the family. So 26 passengers are killed. He finds 24 names and addresses of victims. But on the radio, we hear 26. So he says, you got to find the other two. And she finds the other two. The other two were an immigrant couple from the Ukraine, the Kushnerovs. Kushnerovs came to Israel from the Ukraine, and they had two children. They were survived by two sons, a boy of 8 and a baby of 5 months. And they were probably not sitting Shiva, so they felt they didn't have to give me the address. That's what he writes. So, they give me the address, I should go Shiva. They're two little kids, probably not sitting Shiva, probably not an observant family. They're coming from the Ukraine. You don't have to go. I persevered, and they live in Katamon, and I went, and I will never forget that visit. Comes into the apartment. He finds 3 adults in shock. A young woman and 2 neighbors from the building. Vladek, the older boy, is on the floor, 8.5, and Tomer, the baby, is in the playpen. I walk in, and Vladek looks up at me. He stares at me in astonishment. A stranger was entering his home wearing a long black coat and a hat. Surely for him, strange and unforgettable. What's this guy doing in my house? He didn't mention the beard. He had a beard, big. Rav Lau walks in. I wanted to talk to him mainly to distract him from the tragedy. I sat on one of the 2 simple, narrow beds in the room, and the adults sat opposite. They stared at me, and I stared at them. After a minute or 2 of uncomfortable silence, the young woman introduced herself in Hebrew with a heavy Russian accent. Her name was Larissa. She was the sister of the dead mother. She said she had just gotten married 3 weeks before the attack. Before I could introduce myself, she says to the boy, Vladek, do you know who has come to visit us? Glavny Ravin, the chief rabbi of Israel. I don't speak Russian or Ukrainian, but it's Russian and Ukrainian. He wrote it here, it's in italics. Glavny Ravin, the chief rabbi of Israel, Rabbi Lau. The boy raises his eyes, looks at me, as if he's asking, what's this rabbi doing here? His aunt continued, you know, Vladek, that when Rabbi Lau was 8 years old, he also didn't have his mother and his father. He came to Israel without parents, and look what happened to him. He's the Glavny Ravin of Israel. Take a lesson from him, Vladek. It's all in your hands. When Larissa finished speaking, the boy stood up from the floor, came over to sit next to me on the thin mattress, and lay his head on my chest. He sat like that for a whole hour without saying a word, which means that Rabbi Lau didn't budge for a whole hour. For a whole hour, he's sitting there, and the kid has his, and he doesn't move. He doesn't move. After a while, he just says, after I don't know how long that is, I said one thing to him. Quote, it's true that our fates are similar. But there's one big difference between us. I came to Israel with an older brother who took care of me. His older brother was Naphtali. He was a couple of years older than him. And Naphtali Lavi had a very illustrious career in the Foreign Service. His son is Rabbi Benny Lau, illustrious Rav in Israel. And Rabbi Lau said that his father told Naphtali, when they were being separated, his father was killed in the Shoah, his parents were killed, that he told Naphtali that he has to take care of Lulik. His name was Lulik. Polish name was Lulik. You have to take care of Lulik. And they somehow survived like 6 years in concentration camps. They ended up in Buchenwald, where my father met both of them. So he now has got this kid, Vladik, on his shoulder. He says to him, you know, we're alike, but we're different, because when I was your age, I had an older brother who took care of me. I had no responsibilities other than worrying about my own future. But you, on the other hand, you have a double responsibility. Despite your young age, because besides taking care of yourself, you have to take care of Tomer, the baby who's sleeping in the playpen, who has no idea what's going on. It's a big difference, and it means that you have a responsibility. When I said goodbye to the grieving family, I said that if they were willing to, they should come visit me in my office in Yerushalayim after the Shiva was over. And sometime they came, Vladik, Larissa came to my office. I was happy to learn that after the Shiva, Larissa and her new husband, she'd married 3 weeks, had legally adopted her deceased sister's 2 children, Vladik and Tomer. I thought about what a challenge this was for the husband in particular, who received 2 young children as part of the dowry. Like he wasn't counting on 2 young kids coming along for the ride when he married this girl. 4.5 years after the terror struck on the number 18 bus, I met Vladik again. Each year on the day before Pesach, Chabad organizes a bar and bat mitzvah celebration at the hotel for 1,000 immigrants from the former Soviet Union. Regularly honored guests, including government ministers, the mayor of Yerushalayim, and the chief rabbi of Israel, show up. Throughout my 10 years as chief rabbi, I never missed this ceremony. I give a speech, then I give out tefillin to each of the boys, I give candlesticks to each of the girls, and one by one after another, they mount the platform to receive their gifts. Suddenly, someone hugged me from behind and grabbed a bag of tefillin from my hands. I turned around. Behind me stood a tall, muscular youth whom I didn't recognize. Noting my embarrassment, he introduced himself. I'm Vladik. Today's my bar mitzvah. You came to visit us in Katamon when my parents were killed in the attack on bus 18, remember? Remember Aunt Larissa told me that you were also without parents when you were 8 years old? I replied that I remembered quite well, but more important, he should remember what Aunt Larissa told him, everything is in your hands. Like he remembered that Larissa told him that everything is in your hands. I said, repeating her assertion word for word, she said that if you desire it and try, you can succeed. I share her blessing, and I hope that the Master of the universe will light up your path in life. We parted with a strong handshake. Unfortunately, during the 10 years in which I served as chief rabbi, I had many meetings similar to the one I had with Vladik. That's the end of the story in the book. It's very powerful. I was thinking about it, about the 2 children and the power of 2 children. And then something gnawed at me, and I went and I Googled Vladik and Rav Yisrael Meir Lau. And the following came up from 2017. Rabbi Lau's in the middle of an interview. As he marks his 80th birthday, Israel's former chief rabbi, is now former chief rabbi, is officially retiring after 56 years of activity, including 2 terms as a Tel Aviv city rabbi. He's finishing with chief rabbi, Tel Aviv. Special interview. He talks about his experiences and he mentions his memories from Buchenwald. During the interview, he gets a phone call. And he picks up the phone in the middle of the interview, and it's Vladik. This is 2017. This is now, when was it? February 1990, so 11 years later. So it's after his bar mitzvah, he's now an adult. And Vladik is on the line, quote, and he tells the interviewer, 26 people were murdered in that attack, including Anatoly and Yana Kushnerov, a couple of new immigrants from Russia, the rabbi explained. I was Israel's chief rabbi at the time, and I had a practice of receiving the list of the dead and the addresses of the families and going to console each and every home. But when the list of bus number 18 arrived, the Kushnerov's address was missing. I was told the family is not sitting Shiva, because the only ones left was an 8-year-old boy called Vladik and a baby called Tomer. I said I wanted to see them, as I was particularly sensitive to an 8-year-old child. After all, that was my exact age when I was liberated from Buchenwald. I got their address in the Katamo neighborhood. When I arrived, he tells the whole story. Then he tells the story about the bar mitzvah. And the interviewer says, why did he call? And Rabbi Lau says, he called to tell me he was getting married and asked if I would be able to perform the ceremony. He said he hoped I would be available. I said to him, for you, I'm always available. We're going to meet under your chuppah before Rosh Hashanah, and I'm going to tell you, Tichla Shana v'kilaloseha, Tachel Shana birchoseha. That's the bracha that I'm going to give you under the chuppah. So you never know. You never know. I learned a lot from that story because we are all confronted with situations, I don't have to go to that Shiva. I don't really know them so well, or I don't know, I don't really have to do that. I don't have to do that. My mother said to me, it's never wrong to do the right thing. And that's like such a huge yesod. And I use it as a mantra in my family. It's never wrong to do the right thing. So you make cheshbonos. So he didn't have to go. There was no formal Shiva. His thing, his MO was to go to Shivas. I mean, that itself is amazing. He didn't have to go. And he goes to this loch somewhere in Katamon, and there's a thin mattress. And he has this incredible encounter with this little boy that just kept on giving. These are 2 kids, Benu Bas, Rabbi Shmuel, Kohen Gadol. The end of the story is a different end of the story. But the power of the individual is incredibly powerful. And so we should ask ourselves next time, should I? Do I need to? The answer is yes. The answer is yes, you need to. You should go. You go, you sit in the back, you sit the 3rd row, you wait till everybody moves up, and you move up, you say, and you're done, you go home, you never know. You never know. You never know. To do a Ma'aseh Chesed, the implications of a Ma'aseh Chesed are beyond our possible comprehension.